Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment, where we love pop culture. Today, it's time for another comic book review. Now, as a huge fan of professional wrestling and comic books, when I heard about this particular comic book, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And that's a comic book featuring one of the greatest of all time, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Now, will this comic have you styling and profiling, or will you just be wished you were in a muggy from the Four Horsemen themselves? Well, the only way to find out is to get on with my comic book review of Codename Ric Flair Magic 8-Ball from Scout Comics. The story takes place in the 1970s, where we see a young Ric Flair working his way up in the local wrestling scene. Now, for anybody who's followed the career of the Nature Boy, we know that he was involved in a plane crash back in 1975, and here in this comic, there's actually a scene that goes back to that tragic day. And while Ric Flair did survive that real-life plane crash, writer James Haick will put his own interpretation on the story here, in that Nache was turned into a badass secret agent to fight the commies a la Captain America. Now, the story does pick up 10 years later, and we'll join Slick Rick on a mission to infiltrate a toy maker in Moscow who's disguising speed bumps as Magic 8-Balls, and it's going to be Rick's job to put a bump in the operation. Now, what's great here is we get to see Ric Flair in action, and he takes on these bad guys, and he doesn't need some stinking shield like Captain America, because as we all know, Ric Flair is the dirtiest player in the game. Plus, we're only going to get more confirmation that nobody can party like Slick Rick, including the Russians. Now, for my final score, I'm going to break it down into 4 categories. For the story, I'm giving this issue a 10 out of 10. Writer James Haick III does a great job in this one-shot book to not only give us enough backstory as to how Rick got his abilities, but we also have plenty of time to see them in action. The art in this issue is also going to get a 10 out of 10. There's a gritty 70s and 80s look to it without it feeling dated. Also complemented by some great facial expression, fun action scenes, and you have an art style that looks like it could jump right off the pages right into the squared circle. The art here is done by Rafael Lorario and colors by Yen Nitro and Red Spiller, and they're gonna have you wooing for more. The concept is going to get a 9 out of 10. Now, while not the most original story, this book takes situations from real life and it's able to give it its own unique twist to it. Now, the fun factor is definitely a 10 out of 10. If you're a fan of comics, this is a great read. If you're a fan of the Nature Boy, it's a must, as Codename Ric Flair Magic 8-Ball brings home the gold. So my final score for Codename Ric Flair is going to be a 9.75 out of 10. Alright guys, well, that's going to wrap up my comic book review for Codename Ric Flair Magic 8-Ball. Now, while this appears to only be a one-shot comic, reading it from front to back, it's completely satisfying, so if there isn't another issue, this is a great pickup. However, the story was so awesome, and I think there's so many more possibilities with this particular version of Ric Flair. I would love to see another issue down the line, and I would definitely be in line to pick that one up. Now, have you guys read this comic book? And if you have, comment down below and let me know your thoughts. And guys, if you like videos like this and all things pop culture, make sure you stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.